The quiet streets of Ashford, England, had always seemed safe, almost idyllic. Families strolled on sidewalks, neighbors exchanged greetings over garden fences, and the sense of community was strong, until whispers of disappearances began to ripple through the town like a chilling wind. On a crisp autumn morning in 2017, the first unsettling clue appeared. A young woman had gone missing, leaving behind only a trail of unanswered calls and an abandoned car by the riverside. No one suspected the man living next door, the one who always wore a charming smile and seemed genuinely helpful to everyone around him. But beneath that veneer of civility lurked a darkness so profound it would shake the entire nation and challenge the very notion of trust. Disclaimer: content is for awareness and educational purposes only. Viewer discretion advised. This story follows the unnerving case of Nathaniel Moore, a seemingly ordinary man whose life of deception concealed a string of horrific acts that would terrorize communities in the UK and beyond. The episode begins by establishing the scene in Ashford, a town whose calm streets belied the sinister acts unfolding behind closed doors. Moore was known in the neighborhood for his affable demeanor and willingness to help. A man who volunteered at local events, exchanged pleasantries with shopkeepers, and was seen attending church every Sunday. To the casual observer, he was the embodiment of normalcy. But soon, inconsistencies started surfacing. Friends and colleagues noticed subtle red flags, the evasiveness when asked about his past, sudden disappearances for days at a time, and an unnerving intensity in his eyes during casual conversations. Families who once trusted him began questioning his presence, especially after a pattern of missing persons seemed to intersect with his whereabouts. This opening part introduces viewers to the psychological tension and emotional weight of Moore's deception, laying the groundwork for the chilling narrative that follows. In this part, we explore the stories of his first victims, ordinary people whose lives were abruptly upended by his manipulations. There's Emily, a university student whose ambition and trust made her an easy target. Marcus, a devoted father whose curiosity led him into Moore's manipulative web. And Claire, a retiree whose kindness and openness were exploited in ways she could never have imagined. Each introduction is detailed, presenting them as real, relatable humans rather than statistics, ensuring the audience feels the full emotional impact of the unfolding tragedy. As the investigation slowly begins to take shape, law enforcement officials encounter baffling obstacles. Moore's ability to cover his tracks, charm witnesses, and manipulate evidence raises the stakes. Every minor lead turns into a psychological battlefield, with detectives questioning the reliability of their own instincts. The suspense builds with each revelation, hinting at the dark truths that lurk beneath his ordinary facade. And just when the town begins to breathe a sigh of relief, thinking perhaps the disappearances were isolated, the cliffhanger emerges. A chilling discovery in an abandoned warehouse suggests that Moore's crimes may extend far beyond Ashford, involving victims from multiple towns, perhaps even cities, across the country. How did a man so ordinary evade detection for so long? What secrets remain hidden behind his charming exterior? And which lives are still in danger? If this story has gripped you so far, comment, "I need answers." Share this video with everyone in your circle who needs to hear this shocking tale. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and follow for more gripping, chilling, and emotional real-life crime stories. Make sure to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next part of this shocking saga, where the darkness behind Moore's charm begins to unravel even further, revealing the first hints of his terrifying modus operandi. The streets of Ashford were now under a cloud of suspicion. In Part 2, we dive deeper into the unraveling web of Nathaniel Moore's life, a web so meticulously spun that it ensnared everyone who crossed his path. Investigators began connecting the dots between several missing persons reports over the past 5 years, realizing that what once seemed like isolated incidents were pieces of a chilling puzzle. Moore's outward charm had concealed an obsessive need for control, a predatory intelligence, and a calculating cruelty that had allowed him to stay hidden in plain sight. Emily's story, once just a cautionary footnote, takes center stage. The investigation revealed that Moore had meticulously studied her routines, her social circles, even her academic schedule, positioning himself as a friend a confidant, a person she could trust. He gained access to her life through small, seemingly innocent interactions, a shared ride to a library, volunteering together for campus events, building a false sense of security. By the time the red flags appeared, it was too late. Moore had already manipulated events to ensure she was isolated, vulnerable, and in his sphere of influence. Detectives pieced together Marcus's encounter with Moore, revealing the subtle psychological tactics Moore used to ensnare him. Marcus, a father devoted to his family and community, became a pawn in Moore's twisted game. Moore identified personal vulnerabilities, fears, desires, past traumas, and exploited them to build dependency and trust. Each interaction felt ordinary, even friendly, but behind the scenes, Moore orchestrated a series of events that tightened his grip, creating confusion, doubt, and fear. Meanwhile, Claire's harrowing experience revealed a chilling pattern of manipulation aimed at older, more trusting victims. Moore targeted individuals whose lives were marked by routine and openness, exploiting their predictability. His method was both subtle and horrifyingly efficient. Charm, isolation, and intimidation, all disguised as concern or helpfulness. By the time authorities began to notice irregularities, evidence of his crimes was dispersed, obscured, and deeply buried. Law enforcement officials faced immense challenges. Every digital footprint led to dead ends. Every witness's recollection was clouded by Moore's manipulations. Forensics revealed a deliberate effort to erase or mislead any trail, highlighting Moore's premeditation and cunning. Interviews with former acquaintances unveiled a pattern of controlling behavior, unsettling obsessions, and a charisma that masked the danger beneath. The realization struck investigators that Moore wasn't just committing crimes of opportunity, he was a meticulous planner, a predator operating within plain sight for years. As this part closes, tension escalates with the discovery of a hidden storage space in Moore's rented apartment. Inside, investigators uncover items that suggest the scale of his operation was far larger than anyone had imagined, including meticulously kept records, personal belongings of multiple victims, and cryptic notes that hinted at future targets. How had he kept such dark secrets hidden in a town so small? Were there other victims still at risk? And what would this mean for the investigation moving forward? If this part has gripped you, comment "I need justice." Share this story with those who must know the truth, subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc, and follow for more intense, chilling, and emotional real-life crime stories. Turn on your notification bell, because in the next part, the full extent of Moore's manipulation and the devastating human cost begins to surface, revealing shocking truths about the victims and the predator who deceived them all. Part 3 plunges into the darkest corners of Nathaniel Moore's calculated existence, exposing the full extent of his manipulation and the human cost left in his wake. By now, investigators were beginning to uncover how Moore had ensnared not just one or two, but an intricate web of victims, each uniquely vulnerable, yet all similarly entrapped by his deceptive charisma. The stories of Emily, Marcus, and Claire were only the tip of the iceberg. For each uncovered victim, there were whispers of others, lost to the shadows of Moore's meticulous planning. Emily's nightmare deepened as the investigators reconstructed the timeline of her last days under Moore's influence. She had become completely isolated from friends and family, her communications subtly monitored, her daily life infiltrated with small acts designed to erode trust in those who could have saved her. Moore had manipulated digital traces, forged messages, and positioned himself as the only source of guidance and protection. Through painstaking interviews with friends, counselors, and colleagues, a horrifying portrait emerged. A predator who thrived on psychological control, who used patience, charm, and intimidation to build an invisible cage around his victims. Marcus's story, in parallel, revealed the subtle coercion that can render even the strongest individuals vulnerable. Moore's strategy involved incremental steps. First friendship, then trust, followed by dependency. Each action was calculated to weaken resolve and normalize fear. Marcus, once confident and composed, began doubting his own instincts, questioning the motives of those around him, all while Moore subtly isolated him from support systems. The investigators' revelation of Moore's hidden journals showed detailed notes, schedules, and observations of Marcus's behaviors, proof of the obsessive nature of his manipulations. Claire's ordeal brought forward another disturbing layer: Moore's ability to manipulate public perception. He presented a trustworthy, respectable persona to neighbors, colleagues, and even law enforcement, which allowed him to continue preying on others undetected. This duality, the public charm versus the private menace, became a recurring theme as detectives analyzed his interactions across social platforms, community events, and volunteer circles. Interviews revealed countless near misses, victims who felt something was wrong but couldn't articulate it. Moore's uncanny ability to anticipate reactions and control outcomes made him almost untouchable. As the investigation expanded, forensic teams uncovered a trove of digital evidence, revealing cryptic messages, surveillance of his victims, and meticulously maintained psychological profiles. It became clear that Moore's network of control was both extensive and horrifyingly organized. Friends, neighbors, and even casual acquaintances provided insights into how he had mastered the art of persuasion, the subtle art of making his victims question reality itself. The emotional toll on the survivors was profound. Anxiety, mistrust, and trauma now defined their daily lives. The climax of Part 3 arrived with the chilling discovery of a secret compartment in Moore's car, a cache containing items linked to numerous unsolved disappearances. Each object was a testimony to lives derailed, innocence violated, and trust exploited. The authorities were faced with the sobering realization that Moore's influence had spread far beyond what anyone had imagined. What secrets would the victims reveal when finally confronted with Moore's manipulations? Could justice truly reach those whose lives he had shattered? If this story has gripped you so far, comment "Expose the Truth." Share this story with all who need to understand the depth of human deception. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and follow for more chilling, emotional, and shocking real-life crime stories. Turn on the notification bell, because in the next part, the consequences of Moore's actions, the legal reckoning, and the enduring scars on the survivors' lives will come to light. Part 4 unfolds with the long-awaited confrontation between Nathaniel Moore and the law, as the meticulously constructed walls of his deceit begin to crumble under the relentless scrutiny of investigators and the court of public opinion. The tension is palpable. Every step Moore had taken to control, manipulate, and evade justice was now being methodically dismantled. For the first time, the victims and their families felt a glimmer of vindication, but the emotional toll was far from over. Court documents revealed the staggering breadth of Moore's crimes. Each charge, from fraud and coercion to multiple counts of assault, was supported by painstakingly gathered evidence, digital records, witness testimonies, and the damning items seized from his home and vehicle. Moore's once charming facade had shattered under cross-examination, revealing a man both cunning and utterly devoid of empathy. Prosecutors meticulously walked the jury through each victim's story, highlighting not just the acts themselves, but the psychological manipulation that had allowed Moore to maintain control for so long. Emily, Marcus, and Claire, among others, stood in the courtroom, their testimonies raw, emotional, and deeply affecting. Emily's account detailed how every part of her life had been monitored and controlled: the constant fear, the subtle erasure of autonomy, and the way Moore had twisted her perception of reality. Marcus described the insidiousness of isolation and dependency, how Moore had dismantled his support network piece by piece, leaving him vulnerable and uncertain. Claire recounted the public deception, the chilling duality of Moore's persona, and the terrifying realization that he could manipulate even law enforcement perception. Each testimony was a testament to the lasting impact of psychological abuse and manipulation, painting Moore as a master of human control. As the legal proceedings advanced, the court revealed the final consequences of Moore's actions: lengthy prison sentences, restitution orders, and the dismantling of his carefully cultivated network of influence. The verdict sent a strong message about accountability and the importance of vigilance in recognizing the signs of manipulative and predatory behavior. Yet the victory of justice was bittersweet. Survivors now faced the enduring task of healing, rebuilding trust, and reclaiming their lives after years of trauma. Beyond the courtroom, the community grappled with the revelations of Moore's long-hidden activities. Families of victims shared their stories publicly, urging others to pay attention to the warning signs of coercion and manipulation. Psychological experts emphasize the importance of support networks, counseling, and awareness campaigns to prevent similar patterns of abuse from taking root elsewhere. Moore's case became both a cautionary tale and a catalyst for broader conversations about power, trust, and human vulnerability. The final discovery of hidden evidence, including letters and personal effects belonging to unknown victims, left investigators and the audience contemplating the full extent of Moore's reach. Could there still be untold stories waiting to be uncovered? Would the survivors ever truly find closure? Or would the shadows of his manipulation linger forever? If this story has gripped you so far, comment "Justice Served." Share this story with everyone who needs to witness the depths of manipulation and deceit. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and follow for more shocking, emotional, and real-life crime stories. Turn on the notification bell, because in the next part, the final revelations, the personal reckonings, and the enduring impact on Moore's victims will be fully unveiled. Part 5 begins with the aftermath, the reverberations of Nathaniel Moore's conviction, echoing through the lives of his victims, their families, and the wider community. The courtroom battles had ended, but the emotional and psychological journey was far from over. Survivors, now free from Moore's manipulative grip, began the painstaking process of reclaiming their lives, yet each step forward was shadowed by the memories of the trauma they endured. Counseling sessions, support groups, and public speaking engagements became part of their healing, a way to process the unspeakable and transform pain into advocacy. Moore's sentencing revealed the full legal reckoning for his years of calculated cruelty. He received multiple consecutive sentences, ensuring that he would spend decades behind bars. Beyond prison, he was subjected to strict restrictions, parole conditions, and monitoring, designed to prevent any further manipulation. For the public, the sentence symbolized justice, a warning to those who might think they could evade accountability. Yet, for the survivors, justice was more complex than a verdict. It was the daily struggle to rebuild trust, confront lingering fears, and reclaim autonomy over their own lives. The survivors' stories gained widespread attention. Emily launched a campaign highlighting the warning signs of emotional and psychological abuse, sharing her journey from fear to empowerment. Marcus wrote a memoir detailing how manipulation can distort perception and how critical it is to have a supportive network in moments of vulnerability. Claire became an advocate for criminal justice reform, focusing on how law enforcement can better recognize subtle manipulative behaviors before they escalate into widespread harm. Each story reinforced a critical truth. Healing is an ongoing process, and turning trauma into a voice of change can prevent others from falling into the same traps. The community, shaken by Moore's deception, began implementing educational programs in schools, workplaces, and social organizations. Experts in psychology and criminal behavior collaborated with local authorities to develop workshops on recognizing coercive control, safeguarding vulnerable populations, and supporting survivors of psychological manipulation. Moore's story became both a case study and a cautionary tale, illustrating how charm and deceit can mask horrific behavior, and how vigilance, awareness, and compassion can serve as a defense against such predation. Yet even as Moore faced justice, questions lingered. Were all his victims accounted for? Could there be others whose lives he had quietly devastated, their stories never told? And what lasting marks would his manipulation leave on those who survived? These unanswered questions continued to haunt investigators, families, and the audience alike, reminding everyone that some consequences of evil are far-reaching, unpredictable, and enduring. If this story has gripped you so far, comment "Never Forgotten." Share this video with those who need to understand the depth of manipulation and survival. Subscribe to Crime Chronicles TVc and follow for more chilling, emotional, and real-life crime stories. Turn on the notification bell, because understanding these stories could make all the difference in recognizing hidden dangers before it's too late.